Welcome back to another episode of Married at First Sight, Season 20, Episode 16, 17, and 18. We're going to be focusing mainly on Tori and Felipe, and we're going to sprinkle in a little Marissa and Adam because Marissa and Adam don't have enough sauce to have their own show, but mainly we're going to be talking about Felipe and Tori today. Now, to start off season 20, episode 16, Marissa and Adam is on the scene. They're on their way home from the group dinner. And Marissa is giggling. She was like, "Oh my God, Adam, you were so fired up." And he's like, "Yeah, I get that way when I'm being disrespected." Yeah, he was still a little upset about how Sean came at him and was challenging his intellect and his emotional intelligence. And so he didn't like that at all. But he said, yeah, if you're going to challenge me like that and disrespect me, then he said he's going to come back at him. And he said, as a matter of fact, he's going to take this attitude and this energy straight into couples retreat, which he did. Now, the next scene is with Tori and Felipe. Felipe is laying on the bed like he's exhausted from the group dinner. He told Tori that she looked beautiful tonight in that red dress, which she did. And he said, "I couldn't believe my two best friends pretty much, just let me have it tonight. I'm exhausted." Now, the two best friends he's talking about is Adam and Cameron, which they did. They let him have it when it comes to how he's speaking about his marriage to Tori. And Tori like, yeah, they slayed you. They really let you have it. They flamed you. Felipe was like, "Well, yeah, I understand why they let me have it. He said, but, then he got on Tori. He like, "I thought we was going to go in there as a unit." In other words, he thought that she was going to defend him against what they were saying about him. And it's like, sir, no, she would not defend you because guess what? They taken up for her by the way that you have been talking about her, talking about you don't know if you can be committed to this relationship. You don't know that if you want to be married. You don't know that if you can be faithful. They was defending Tori. So why would Tori come in and defend you? But then Tori was like, "Well, the first night that you stuck your foot in your mouth, I did defend you blindsided because, I just felt like I was, wanted to protect you." She's like, "But, you kept doing it time and time again." And she was like, "No, I'm going to let you stand in the grease, in the fire when it comes to you talking out of line about me, pretty much." And she didn't say it verbatim, but, that's just what I'm saying that she said. And then she was like, "How do you want me to consider you when you're not considering me?" And she's like, "No, matter of fact, I'm not going to be sticking up for you. I'm going to let you figure it out." As she should, because he's laying there like a toddler looking at her with little doughy eyes like she is his mother. And he's just sitting there like, "Okay, okay, yes, ma'am, yes, mama." And then after the girl said all of that, then he gonna say, "Well, I just think we should act like partners if we're gonna be partners." It almost sounded like it was a threat, like, "Okay, if you're not gonna be my partner, then let me know because we're not gonna be partners." It's like, well, Felipe, she don't feel like she have a partner anyway, and it's gonna show in the rest of the episodes. Now, in the next scene, we show Marissa and Adam. They're getting ready for the couples retreat. And the first thing Adam says that he said he hopes when he get there, he find a pickleball court so that he can get on the court and play. And then Marissa just ignores him because, the word pickleball stresses her out. And then she asks him, how you feel about seeing Sean at the couples retreat? He said he's indifferent while he's over there picking out his hair with some type of weird like pick and trying to perfect his hair curls. And it's like, okay. And so again, they don't give too much in their scenes, and you don't get too much from Adam and Marissa, but what can we do? Next, we see Tori and Felipe. They're packing up and getting ready for the couples retreat. It seems like they're going to leave their apartment in a little mess because I guess the way they was packing. So Felipe is asking Tori, like, "Babe, how do you feel about us going into the retreat?" And she said, "I'm a little nervous. I just want to make sure that, with anything that you say, that you consider me. Pretty much consider my feelings. And don't just say things, that you haven't told me in front of a group of people. Don't embarrass me, Felipe." That's pretty much what she was asking him to do. And he started laughing with that little goofy laugh that he has. And he said, "Babe, I don't think I have anything else to say." And Tori says in her one-on-one, she said, "I think that the couples retreat can go really, really well. Or Felipe can F it up," which he definitely can. And he definitely will at the beginning. But, I'll let you know. So the next scene, we see Tori and Felipe driving up to the couple's retreat. Now, as they driving up to the couple's retreat, I noticed that number one, Tori is driving the car. Now, when it comes to the other couples, the man is driving, but this time it's Tori in her relationship again, taking the wheel per usual in her relationship and doing everything for her and Felipe. Felipe just sitting there holding her hand. I mean, she don't even got two hands to drive with because he holding one hand as if he's the wife. Now they drive in Tori's car, and so as Tori is going up the hill, going to the couple's retreat to the cabin, her car starts smoking, and then so she pulled up to the side. She's like, "Oh my God, I think that I'm burning oil." In other words, the car is malfunctioning, and then so Felipe just sitting there still with no worries in the world. And so she get on the phone. I guess she's trying to call for help, call AAA or somebody to get help for the car, or to call them a ride. But either way it goes, she's taking pretty much she's doing everything like she's the man pretty much, and while her husband is sitting on the side for more support. He's rubbing her arms, rubbing her hands and stuff like that. And she was like, that's not very important to me right now. She said, right now I need a man to take the charge, take the lead when it comes to something like this. She said, because I do know how to fix cars, I do know how to take care of myself. She said, but what was the purpose of getting married if I was going to still be having to do everything on my own versus my husband coming in and doing those things? And I agree with her. She definitely let it be known that, since she's so independent, she don't want to be that independent in her marriage. And she said the fact that Felipe is doing nothing in this situation is such a turnoff to her. And that's really important to know, that her husband is already turning her off because of his lack of masculine energy. He's not able to take charge. He's not able to really help her out. She already said earlier that she believed that if she needed him to babysit her dog, she couldn't trust him doing that. And he is proving her right at this point. So in the next scene, we see them in the back of a car. At this point, it's dark. It's dark outside. It was light outside earlier, so it took them a while to get a ride, get the car towed, and all that stuff like that. So they finally heading up to the retreat, and here go Felipe over there sitting to the side on his little hip. He's sitting on his hip with his little booty tooted up to the side. And she was like, well, I just think that I'm going to have to go shopping for a new car. And he started shaking his head, yes. And then she was like, I just want to make sure that you're there, to help me and stuff like that. He said, I'll be there for more support. And then she was like, well, yeah, just make sure that they don't steamroll me when it comes to, shopping for the car. He said, well, yeah, I'll just be there for eye candy. In other words, he's saying he still is not going to be any help to her. He didn't volunteer to help pay for the car. He said he can't even make sure that they don't steamroll her. He said he's just going to be the pretty princess on the side. And then she gives out this little fake laugh. You can tell she is completely annoyed and turned off by Felipe. But Felipe had no idea what's going on. So they finally make it up to the cabin with everybody else. And then Tori walks in with a handful of stuff, 2 cases of drinks and all type of stuff in her hand. I don't know how Felipe walks in. And it's just like, again, she still have to be the masculine leader in her relationship, carrying all the canned sodas and everything in her hand, when Felipe know he should have been carrying that. So the group sits down and plays their first game. And so the game is that they're going to read a question off on from a piece of paper, and the group is supposed to point at the count of 3, point to the person that they believe would do that. The first question comes off as who partner would be the first person to flirt with the waitress in front of his wife or significant other. And of course everybody like, that's a no-brainer, it's gonna be Felipe. And so Felipe just so happy and so proud to be chosen. Now at first Tori thought that it was cute. Felipe got pointed at one time. Even she pointed at Felipe. She thought it was cute at first. But as the game goes on and Felipe is being called out with everything, despicable, when it comes to despicable actions, he's being pointed out, and he's getting more happier and happier to be pointed out. Now she's embarrassed. Now she's disgusted about, how proud he is to be this type of person. So to say the least, Felipe wins the game. He stands up and gives his speech when it comes and takes his trophy. He even takes a toast out of the trophy. At this point, Tori is disgusted. She's embarrassed for sure. And so she has to take a break from the group, and she goes up in her room to pout about it. So Felipe decides to go upstairs because the girls had broken off from the boys and they went upstairs to have girl talk. And so Felipe was like, okay, I'm going to go upstairs with the girls and get, the scoop on you guys and I'll come back and report to you. So as he goes up the stairs, he knows that the girls was in one room, but Tori was not in that room. And so as soon as he went in, he ran straight out. They was trying to tell him to come back, but he didn't. And then so Caitlin gonna say, I hate him. And then so he went and found Tori. Tori was pouting in the room by herself. He was like, is everything okay? And what did he say that for? Because Tori just pretty much let him know how she truly feel about him. And it was not good. Now she started off trying to play nice. She was like, what if I was you and you was me and I did the things that you did? How would you feel? He like, yeah, I don't get it. Just go ahead and tell me how you feel. What is it? She was like, well, what if I was known as a hoe like you, How would you feel about that? And then he laid back. He was like, babe, I didn't do anything. I can't help how people feel about me. It's like, yes, you can, sir. Okay. Because people feel a certain way about you because of what you say. And those lips are always flopping and you always embarrassing this lady. And it's almost like you proud to be a hoe. And she said that what if she was the hoe? How would you feel? And he just didn't understand it. He just didn't get it. So Felipe was genuinely confused about why she was mad. So he was like, okay, so are you upset about the game that we just played? She's like, no, it's not about the game. He said, well, so what did I say? He's like, it was not about what you said. He's like, well, what did I do? And she sat there, she got quiet. And it's like, girl, be honest, because it is about the game. It is about what he said. It is about what he's thinking about doing. I said, but she's having a hard time trying to communicate it because I think she's trying to spare his feelings a little bit. But at the same time, he's not trying to spare hers because he's actually being kind of rude in this conversation. And I think because he's probably drunk, but he's just being like a little, like he throwing a tantrum like a little kid would do. And so at this point she's getting kind of sad because she feels like he don't get it, and she just really sad, and so tears started to roll out of her eyes at this point. So the girl went on to say, she's like, I'm tired of being the butt of the joke. He says, one thing for you to be the butt of the joke, but by you being the butt of the joke, I am also the butt of the joke. And she says she's tired of this. She said, I did not come to this experience to be a mother. I'm here to be a wife. And then so he's sitting there listening. And then after all of that, he says, I'm still so confused. I'm so annoyed with Felipe at this point. And then he says, well, I get it. I just see that you don't trust me because you say that people look at me a certain type of way. And by them looking at me a certain type of way, they look at you the certain type of way. And then she was like, yeah. She's like, finally, you get it. And then he throws it back on her. Well, I can't be with anyone who don't trust me. It's like, first of all, Felipe, you don't even trust you. You're having doubts about your own actions. You're having doubts about your own thoughts. So you don't even trust you. So how can Tori even trust you? He says, Tori, you don't give me any piece of grace. He said, you are the person who knows me the best, not them. And it's like, no, actually, Felipe, they all know you about the same. Okay. Yeah, Tori may spend a little more time with you because you guys live together, but you guys all met on the same time. Okay. So she don't know you no more than they know you. And what they know about you, she know about you, which is not a good thing. You have not given any type of good qualities to show that you are a good man, that you can be trusted. Because again, you don't even trust yourself. And then he had the audacity to say, Tori, you comes in and you talk about that I need to fix myself. And he said, F no, I don't need to fix myself. Like, yes, you do, sir. It's like he's trying to stand his ground and put a stamp on his relationship like, oh, I'm the man, but in a totally disrespectful way. And again, Tori's over there crying now because she can't believe that he's talking to her like this and that he don't get it, which he do get it. He just trying to throw it back on her. And again, trying to be a little manipulative at this point because it's not the fact that she don't trust you, okay, but which she shouldn't, because again, he don't trust himself. So, but to throw back that she don't trust you when you don't trust you is being very manipulative at this point. And he keeps on saying, I didn't do anything, Tori, and I'm just trying to keep the vibes okay. He said, what, did you want me to look sad when they was pointing at him? And I'm like, he's right. He really didn't do anything per se, but what she wanted was to be considered. What she wanted him to do is when they said, oh, who is most likely to cheat? And then he should have been like, yeah, I know what I told you guys, but now that I'm fully committed to my marriage, I will not cheat on my wife. Okay. I am now man enough to know that I'm going to stand beside my wife. I'm going to go through this marriage day in and day out committed to my wife. She wanted him to say some words of affirmation when it came to their relationship, and he didn't. So he's so confused about that right now. Now he will get it later on, but she have to do something very dramatic in order for him to get it, which is typical in a relationship when it comes to a man. You have to be very dramatic with them in order for them to see, oh, so this is serious. Yes, it been serious, sir. So he over there dropping a lot of F-bombs like Caitlyn did. I mean, not Caitlyn, but like what was the girl name that was over there snapping on Nick Courtney. So he over there dropping a lot of F-bombs, being just disrespectful. She over there crying. He was like, Tori, you know what? You really don't want to be with me. And she was like, I do. I really do. He said, no, you don't. No, you don't. Now, the fact that he's looking dead at her while she's crying, he's not trying to console her. He's not trying to confirm that he wouldn't do anything to hurt her. He's just sitting there looking at her. Again, almost like he's getting a little pleasure out of her crying. And then she's begging for the relationship, like, I really do want to be with you, Felipe. No, you don't. No, you don't. You don't want to be with me. So clearly, Felipe is not getting it. So Tori just goes ahead and calls it. She like, you know what? I don't want to do this anymore. I genuinely do not want to do this anymore. I can't. I just can't do this anymore. And so he's sitting there. At this point, now he looked like he's almost relieved that she's calling it. It's like he almost feeling like, okay, finally, I'm out of this. That's kind of how he's looking at this point. And she was like, yeah, I can't do this anymore. And then he was like, okay, do you want to be left alone? She was like, yeah. And then he gets up and leave. Like, yes, like even though he's not showing this, yes, I'm excited, I'm done. But the way that he just gave up and just didn't have no emotions, and he was just done, and he was now at ease and feeling some type of comfort now that she said that. So he leaves the room and heads down the stairs with the boys. But before he left, he had the audacity to say, maybe we're not compatible. And then she said, maybe not. And then she said, well, maybe now you can go back to single life. And then that's when he said, oh, okay, so do you want me to leave you alone? And she was like, yes. And then he head back down the stairs. It's like, bye, Felipe. And then he goes back downstairs with the guys. He's silent with his head down like a little kid who just got in trouble and put on punishment. And then so Devin walks up to him like, what happened? Then Adam like, what happened? Is everything okay? And then so Felipe just silent. He just silent, won't say anything. And then they kept on saying, what's wrong? What's wrong? What's wrong? And then so he just sitting there with his head down, won't say anything. And then Sean comes up. He's like, y'all, give him a second. Give him a second. As soon as he said, give him a second, then Felipe starts to speak. Now he's showing emotion in front of the guys, but he didn't show any emotions upstairs when it came to Tori. And then he finally says, I think she just broke up with me. And then the show ends, and then it goes on to the next episode. So the next episode starts with Adam asking, what happened? He was like, she just broke up with me. And then he was like, well, what did she say? She was like, well, I don't think that we should be together anymore. And then so the scene goes over to the girls where Tori is in the room by herself, covered up with the sheets and crying. And then the girls walk into the room with Tori and was like, hey, Tori. Then they see she's sad and they're like, what's wrong? What's wrong? So now they're trying to get the scoop on why is Tori sad and crying. So the girls climb into the bed with Tori and just trying to get the scoop on what happened. Why are you sad? And she was like, well, Felipe just don't get it. And then so all the girls get in a good position to hear her out. And then I don't know why Nikki gonna climb on top of the girl right and dead in the girl's face, knowing the girl already sad. And I'm like, Nikki, I mean, can you find somewhere else to go? But I guess Nikki ain't, her man ain't there, so she ain't got no drama right now. So I guess she wanna get into the mix of things, because she really don't give sound advice. And nothing against Nikki, but I just like, Nikki, give the girl a little space, okay? It's bad enough that everybody's already in her face, but for Nikki to climb on top of the girl, it's like, Nikki. Now look at Marissa. Marissa trying to be deep talk some. Yeah, because you sat right next to him while he was, putting his foot in his mouth and everything. And then here come Caitlyn. Yeah, he makes me so angry, makes me so mad. It's like, Caitlyn, okay, stop. Okay, Caitlyn too angry over there. Marissa actually trying to, calm the situation down a little bit. Nikki just sitting there looking. Then here come Marissa, baby, with her deep thoughts. She was like, well, Tori's like, I don't think that this is a good match. And then here come Marissa. Well, because you're Beyonce and, and he does not deserve a Beyonce. It's like, okay, round of applause for Marissa, baby, for trying to be deep without being deep, girl. And then here go Felipe down at the downstairs trying to play the victim, talking about, I just don't understand. I just don't get it. Yes, you do. She done explained it to you 100 times. You do get it. And then the next thing he gonna say, he's like, well, because my family and friends know that I'm gonna say some stupid shit, and they understand it. Well, that's the problem. You saying stupid stuff and you think that everybody's supposed to laugh and love you beyond that, like your family. No, your family know you stupid, so they just have to deal with it. But when it comes to a wife, she don't want to deal with a stupid husband. Why you don't get that, Felipe? And then he said, I could, do my best to think before I speak. He said, but my whole life I haven't had to do that. He said he needs a wife to give him grace on stuff like that. It's like, Felipe, could you please listen to what you're saying? You want grace for the stupid things you say versus you just sitting there thinking about things before you say it. Like, because the doctor was saying that, Felipe just speaking his truth. No, Felipe just admitted that he just says stupid stuff without thinking. And that's a problem for a human being to do. And it's also a problem for a grown man to do, especially a grown man who wants to be somebody's husband. So Mecca and the guys tried to come in and give him advice and said, well, yeah, Mecca was like, yeah, you wasn't very considerate when it comes to the things that we were saying about you. And then Devin was like, yeah, to be honest, we wasn't considerate of Tori either when it came to us voting you in and saying those things about you. And so the guys get it. And even though Felipe claimed he didn't get it, but the guys actually get it. Now, here go Caitlin up there. So Tori is like, you know what? I believe in letting the person be who they want to be, allowing them to be free. And then so here go Caitlin talks like, no, F it, cook him, okay? He's done. He's already put his foot in his mouth. He's done. Cook him, okay? He's done. He's grilled, okay? And then as if that wasn't enough, then here go Caitlin talking about, no, he's done. Castrate him. God, Caitlin, stop. Ma'am, put down the pitchfork, okay? Put down the noose, okay? You don't want to hang the man at the state on the city, at the city meeting. And it's like, girl, it's like, calm down a little bit, okay? I don't know where this Caitlin is showing her true colors at this moment. And then Tori just come in and she was like, you know what? These guys need to really remember that we as women deserve to be considered. And then so here go Marissa, amen, sister. And then Caitlin like, yes, walked away, like, drop the mic, girl. Yes, we need to be considered. And it's like, Caitlin, stop, because Devin considers you 100%. Now, Marissa, I get what you saying, because Adam don't consider you at all. And then Nikki just sitting there listening and looking and taking it all in so she can go back and report back to Sean and gossip about the girls, because she ain't giving no advice and she ain't even saying nothing. But Caitlin goes downstairs and pulls Felipe to the side, and she pretty much tell him to consider Tori, okay? Especially when somebody come in and say, oh, Felipe is more likely to cheat. And she said that, what you should have did was say, yeah, I understand. I put my foot in my mouth and I said some inappropriate things. But when it comes to Tori, I am committed to her and I will stay committed to my marriage and my relationship. So she gave him sound advice. And here comes Sean coming up, putting his 2 cents in it, which Caitlin kind of ignored him anyway. Now, at this point, Felipe is all alone. He's talking to the cameras and he's saying that right now he feels alone. He feels like, he's not very secure where he stands right now. He don't have the confidence that he needs right now. And he feel like he's just such a stupid person, which I agree with him. And then next thing you know, we see him on the couch sleeping alone and by himself. So now he got a lot of time to think like, oh no, this is serious. She for real. Yes, she is. So the next morning they wake up. Tori goes downstairs, get her a cup of coffee. She asks Devin, does he want her to help him make breakfast? Devin said, no, I got it covered. Thank you so much for that. And then Felipe wakes up, put on a sweatshirt, and then he goes for a long walk or a jog. And so right now they're not speaking to each other. They're ignoring each other and just passing by each other like two ships in the middle of the night. So eventually, Felipe goes into the room with Tori. He said, can we talk? And she said, yeah. And then so she started to tell him the same thing she'd been telling him. She said, I want you to consider me. I want you to be my safe space. You said that you was going to be a safe space for me, but she said, I don't feel safe. And then at this point, even though she's saying exactly what she said the other night, now he hears her. Now he understands. And now he's able to see her point of view. And then he goes on to say that he has PTSD of his past relationship where partners were embarrassed of him because of what people said about him. And so he said it brought him back to that space where he just felt like a reject when it came to his priest relationship. And it's like, well, yeah, because you've been embarrassing everybody. You said that you embarrass your family, but they just have to accept it. But when it comes to partners, they don't have to accept you being embarrassing. And so he said that he's been, people walk away from him because of the way he acts. And he's just ashamed of that. He don't want to be that person anymore. And then he says, well, I really like you and I really want to hold a space for you. I have a space for you and I want to be your safe space. She's like, well, if you can promise to consider to be my safe space and to hold a space for me, then I'm willing to try. And then so he heads over to her to give her a hug, and to let her know that, yeah, let's start over fresh because I really do want to be with you. And she agreed to be with him as well. Now, so Tori and Felipe join the group again. They have dinner together, and then they explain to them that, yeah, he's promised to be more considerate of me, and we're gonna try to work through everything and make, this marriage work. And so everybody's like, okay, cheers to that. So they was like, then here come Marissa, let's play another game. And so they play another game, which is almost similar to the one they played before, but this time Felipe is very considerate of Tori. So they asked him if he could have a hall pass, who would he have a hall pass with? He was like, no, I wouldn't do a hall pass at all. I'm only going to be with Tori. So he wouldn't answer the question. Then Adam said, well, what if three bombshells walk into the cabin and they said I want Felipe? And then he was like, nope. I'll tell them, nope, I'm married and I'm happily married, and no, I'm not interested. And then so they were like, good job, Felipe. And then Michelle like, well, Felipe tired of sleeping on the couch, so that's why Felipe is not playing the game. He's not playing game anymore when it comes to Tori. And then so Adam's gonna come in and say, well, yeah, I'm still gonna get the phone number for you anyway. Still trying to, mess up the man relationship. But Felipe was like, nah, I'll pass on it. Either way it goes. So that's pretty much the end of that episode when it comes to Felipe and Tori. Then we go over to episode 20, which is the final countdown. It's time for decision day. And pretty much the first people to make their decision is Felipe and Tori. But before they make their decision, Felipe goes over to the restaurant and meets with his mother and his, I think, sister, but not his biological sister, which is really like a best friend that he calls his sister. And when he's having conversations with them, he was just saying how him being stupid and putting his foot in his mouth had got him in trouble with Tori. And then his stepsister came in and she was like, yeah, she said, because when I first met you, you was very mean spirited. I thought you was very mean. And then I realized that's just how you speak. That's just how you is. And that you need to really consider what you say to people, because people can misread what you're saying. We as your family know what you're doing and saying, but other people may not. Now the mom came in and said, well, I know it's, you have to make your decision when it comes to Tori, but your father and I really like Tori, and we want to welcome her into our family. And then the mom gave this look like, here go Felipe again, about to mess it up with another good woman, one that I actually like. So she is almost, you can tell that she really wants Felipe to grow up and be a man, but the way she's looking at him like, yeah, I don't know if you got it in you, sir. To sum it all up, he pretty much letting them know that he felt like, he have not made a decision when it comes to Tori. He said, Tori is great. He said, but the thing about it is I just can't be my true self around her. And he said that makes him uncomfortable, that he can't be who he truly is around her. And I just think like being stupid and being dumb, if that's your true self, then yeah, you don't need to be married. But you just have some stupid and dumb ways, and you need to change those ways. If you want to be in a successful relationship or AKA successful marriage, you cannot be dumb and stupid. Nobody wants a dumb and stupid husband. And so for him to think that being dumb and stupid is him being authentic is really crazy to me. And he really needs to grow up. Now, while Felipe is speaking with his sister and his mother, they showed a scene of Tori. She's on FaceTime with her sister, and she's explaining everything that happened, that went down. She said that, a decision day is coming up, but me and Felipe almost broke up at the couples retreat. And then she explained everything that I just told you guys about why she felt like Felipe is not considerate of her. And the sister was like, wow. And what I just felt really sad is that Tori don't have anybody truly to speak to that's mature, that's wiser, because her sister is her little sister, and her sister really just want her to be happy. Tori just really need an older woman, somebody that's wise to give her some wise decision. I think Tori is so used to being a mother to her sister. Now she's gonna be the mother to Felipe. It's like she don't have anybody that she can lean her head on for wise decisions to help her throughout her life. But she says she's so independent, and I just wish that she could call her mother, which her mother probably not mature enough to be that wise sounding board for her. And so Tori don't really have anybody to turn to. And you can tell that when she's explaining everything to her sister, she's disassociated. Like you can tell that Tori don't have that life behind her eyes anymore. And she feels so drained and so stressed. She even looked a little like she's been aging since she's been with Felipe. And so we can just tell right now that this is not a healthy relationship for Tori. But I don't know if Tori knows what a healthy relationship is. Tori is starting to talk a little stupid when she's talking to her sister. So it seems like Felipe is rubbing off on her because she's going to say this quote unquote. She was like, I'm glad that Felipe and I have arguments. I think that's more of a green flag than a red flag. No, ma'am, that's exactly a red flag. She said that, because I understand that marriage is not easy. It's hard. She's like, but, I feel like we are very compatible for each other and we can make this work. It's like, girl, arguments do not equal green flags. That's unhealthy, especially that you guys have just got together. You so-called supposed to be still in your honeymoon phase, or this is supposed to be like AKA the dating phase. And you cannot date somebody who's talking stupid. Now he got you talking stupid. And so arguments are not a green flag. They are 100% a red flag. Now, if you know how to have a debate or a discussion, that's communication. That maybe can be a red flag. I mean, a green flag. But no, an argument is straight red all day, every day. So we move back over to Adam and Marissa. They go back to their apartment and they are sick. Okay, Adam is sick with COVID and some other type of cough, cold, sneezy, need some type of medicine, sickness. And so Marissa is like, it feels good to be sick with Adam because now Adam can sit his butt down, baby. He ain't got to go jump on those jet skis. He ain't got to go to that pickleball court. So she almost enjoying the fact that they're sick together. She said that Adam made her chicken noodle soup and so he's been so calm. And so that's sad that the only way that you can enjoy your relationship is when your man is sick so that he can sit down and not stress you out. So next we have Tori and Felipe. Tori walks into the apartment. Felipe over there cleaning his feet. Okay. And so they sit down and have a conversation, just quick and simple, nothing too deep. And, they pretty much, talk about decision day. So they go to the bedroom and Felipe pulls out a photo album of their wedding day. Now that's something that's his go-to whenever he wants her to remember the good times in their relationship. He goes back to the photo album or gives her a photo of their wedding day so that she can remember that one day where they didn't know each other, where they was the happiest they ever been. And I just feel like that's cute and all, but at the same time, if that's the only day that you can pull from, that means that you know that the other days are not good and you need to do better when it comes to this relationship. But usually that's all he needs to do because once he showed her the photo album, she's back in love again. So now it's the final day before decision day. And so the couples have to go their own separate ways so they can make a sound decision when it comes to whether they're going to stay in their marriage or let it go. So first up, we have Tori and Felipe to make that decision on their marriage. Now, they do a flashback of their relationship, the ups and the downs, baby, all the stupid things Felipe has said in the past. And Tori's trying to make a decision as she's heading to the park to make her decision whether she's going to stay in her marriage. Now, Felipe is saying that, he sounds like he's going to go ahead and say yes because he feels like he found the one when it comes to Tori. But there's something about the energy of these two that seems like it's a little off. It seems like Tori found something out about Felipe off camera that's going to make her say no in this moment because it sounds like it was cheating to me. I don't know. I don't know if Felipe admitted to cheating or not. But you could tell the way she's looking, the way she's talking, that something that she discovered about him is making it hard for her to say yes in this moment. Tori walks up behind Felipe. He turns around and like, oh, you're so beautiful. He has a large bouquet of flowers for her. He tries to give it to her. She said, thank you. And she just look at the flower, but she never really accept them or take them. So he takes the flower and lays them on the ground so they can continue on with their decision. He starts off giving her a speech about, I don't know how many decisions you made in your life. He said, but for me, I've made zero. She looked at him in disgust. Like, she got a very blank facial expression, like she just so numb to what he's saying right now. And he's not really stating his case because she want a man to take charge. And he talking about he ain't made no decision in his life already. That's a no-no for me and for Tori. And then he goes on to say, I love when you bring me breakfast when I wake up at 11 o'clock in the morning. It just amazes me that you've been up already doing things for hours and I'm just not waking up in the morning. She's still looking at him like, ill, like that's not a good trait to have. And he was like, you have everything that I want in a woman. And she comes in, she's like, well, I really don't know what to say to what you just said. And then she went on to tell us that, he dropped the bomb on her and now she's confused whether she like him or not. Now, I don't know exactly what Felipe so-called bombshell that he dropped on her was. Again, I just went straight to, did he cheat on her and he admitted to it? But she said, either way it go, whatever he did was cruel and unusual. And she said, she started off like, I did like you, like in past tense. And he was like, well, I still like you. And she was like, well, do you think that what you did is normal? And then he sat there and looked for a minute. And he was like, yeah. And I was confused. Like, do he say, yeah, that he think what he did was normal, or yeah, I messed up, I screwed up? But either way it go, he was sending out mixed signals as if he thought that she wasn't going to mention what he told her off camera, on camera. Okay, so that's when the show ended. They left us on the cliffhanger. We don't know what Felipe told her. What was the bombshell? Is she gonna say yes? Is she gonna say no? But we'll find out on episode 21, girl. So y'all make sure y'all stay tuned to the show. Make sure that you like, comment, and subscribe to the channel, girl, because we're gonna follow this all the way through the end. And y'all let me know what do y'all feel about when it comes to Felipe and Tori and Marissa and Adam. How do you feel about each couple? I would love to hear it. You heard my perspective, but let me hear your perspective because I know we all don't think the same, and I just would love to hear what you thought about it. Okay, so make sure that you stay tuned to the channel, baby. Stay tuned to the show so we can have real discussions over here. Okay, because I think we can learn a lot from these couples if we don't already know this stuff. Like, I already know this type of stuff. But again, it's easier when you're on the outside looking in at somebody's relationship. Like I was saying, it's easy to be on the outside looking in on somebody's relationship and see all the red flags, when sometimes we as women ignore the red flags, hoping that they'll get better. And sometimes we just so young, we just don't understand what a red flag is, even though it makes us feel a certain way. We can't pinpoint what that feeling is. So let's drop down in the comment section. Let me know how you feel, and I'll talk to you on the next one, girl. Peace.